From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Ooh, let it go, everything is alright, so bright, up all night, I stay by your side.
It's Friday. We're working on a Friday for you guys. I don't want to hear anything. No guff. We're here trying to grind. We're going to finish up the Renegade Express because, Corey, I think it's bad business to make guys and gals sit through like an hour and a half podcast. Even as awesome as we are, let's try to keep it like 40, 50 minutes. We were getting over the limit, I felt like. You had to go potty, and I was like, let's just shut it down for the night, but now we're back.
We are back, and everyone, you're welcome. I hope you enjoy this, and you need to go ahead and subscribe to War Chant.
Yes.
For nothing else, because you owe us for all the hours of entertainment we've given you for free.
Working on a Friday, no basketball game, no baseball game, no coaching, hire, fire. Although, as of the recording, it hasn't happened, and we might put like an intro on the beginning of this if something were to happen. You never read my text. One of our subscribers texted me or DM'd me on War Chant, because you can actually direct message people on War Chant, DM'd me Scoop, and then I forwarded it to you and Ira, and then you guys didn't even respond to me. I feel like since I have an Android, you guys with your iPhones never get my messages, or you guys just don't like me.
Well, both. But yeah, I don't remember. I'm not saying I didn't get it. I just don't remember seeing it. But either way, I apologize. I would never intentionally go out of my way to upset you.
What should I do, Corey? Should I reveal it and give a tip of the cap to the subscriber who provided it, or should I not mention it and we just keep it moving?
I feel like you should just not mention it. We'll
Why do you always pick like the coward's way out of things, Corey? Come on, you're a Clark.
How dare you? I just don't. It's baseball, right? Isn't it baseball related?
No, this is a different text message. It was football related. Look at your text messages from the other night, man. Good grief!
Sorry. I thought we were talking about base. I thought you meant a baseball text message.
Well, I did text you about. I texted you about baseball on Wednesday night or Tuesday night. You never got back to me. And then we brought it up on the show yesterday, and you're like, "No, I never saw it." Yeah, it's a football thing.
I apologize, and hey, buddy, it is up to you, my man. I don't know what text you're talking about, so I'm going to have to just leave it in your hands whether you think it's worth revealing.
If it happens, I will tell you all who. I will confirm that it did happen. I will give this guy credit. I don't want to put it out there because
that sounds perfect.
I already put out into the universe that a subscriber told us that Randy Clemson was going to be announced on Monday or Tuesday, and here we are. It's Friday, and yeah. All right, back to the ponies. Back to the Renegade Express. ATL 082. Wake up, fellas. From Tallahassee, mostly. Resident of Ted Bundy for a couple of weeks, unfortunately. Come on, really? Come on, man. Couple easy and random questions for you this morning. Corey, how often do you travel back and forth from Atlanta to Tallahassee? And how many miles are on your car? I've made the 300-mile journey many times myself.
I would say per month, I probably do it back and forth. What would you say, 10 times? 8 times?
In a month, yeah, like 5 times round trip, so 10 times there and back.
Yeah, and occasionally, for one reason or another, I'll head down to Tallahassee for a quick bit and come back up or vice versa. In my car, it's already 50,000 miles, and I've had it for about a little over a year. But I got it with like 12 on it. So I put like 38,000 miles on it in actually less than a year.
Brother, you got to buy yourself like a Toyota Corolla. Like someone's going to get like an F-150.
So the car I had before this one was a brand new Lexus. Ooh. And I'm like, I'm going to be driving all the time. I want to go in style. I want to cruise around. And it's like, no. Number one, I don't take care of my cars at all. And it's just way too much to put on a nice car. I mean, I got a good bit for it when I traded it in, but then I traded it in for a Mazda. So I assume my next car will be a Prius or something. Or a go-kart. I'm just going to keep going down and not spending any money on a car when I'm on the road all the time. I'm just putting too many miles on it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, this guy's literally texted us, or I think he's put questions on the Renegade Express, and I always forget to mention it because he does it usually like 2 or 3 days after we've closed it up. But he actually started a thread on the Tribal Council the other night, and let me get to this before we get to the rest of the questions, or the second question from ATL Null, or else I'll forget it. His name is Cleve Dog FSU 22. Wake up! He puts in all caps. Man, I'm losing my pipes, man. Aslan Corey, love the show. I listen to you guys religiously. You guys actually get my day started. Thank you. I mean, there's a lot of better things you could probably do, but you got Corey here, so that does help get the day start off on the right foot. Anyhow, I have led a campaign to free T-Buck and bring him back to FSU. What about the other coaches like Dugans and Clements? Why are they, as in the coaching staff, are keeping things so quiet? Famous people from my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina are Steve Fuller, Stephen Davis, and Everett Dawkins.
Oh, the great Everett Dawkins.
Yeah, E-Doc. Yeah. Let me see here. He says, what about the other coach like Dugans and Clements? Why are they, as in the coaching staff, are keeping things so quiet? I don't have a good answer. Again, I just think that there's contracts involved. You know, guys like Dugans, again, he's still on the Miami payroll. Why not try to figure out a creative way to maybe not have to pay him a lot of money for at least a year while he collects that paycheck, but also have him be able to contribute to the team. The Clemens thing, I don't know. I mean, golly, you can go back to Adam Rittenberg from ESPN, who tweeted out in like late November or early December the fact that, you know, Kendall Browse is coming to Florida State and Randy Clements is coming with him. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't been confirmed by the source that we know and hasn't been made official. For what reason, we don't quite know yet because, again, they're trying to get the guys in the right places and make the money add up and keep everything on the compliance level up and up. I know that.
Yeah,
that
and you
sucked,
know what's
but that's
the
what
rush?
it is.
Why let your fans know what's going on?
Yeah. All right, ATL 082, back to him. His second question, hockey. I know, but it's slow. Give me a break. Did either of you catch any of the Tallahassee Tiger Shark games back in the late 90s at the TLC Double C? It was awesome. I'm still mad they're gone. As always, thanks for keeping me sane during the week. Thanks for the question, ATL. No, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
I've heard great stories about that and what a fun time it was, but no, I never got to see them.
Yeah, same here. My brother, I think my older brother and his roommates would go to a couple of those games and get loose. But yeah, I never. They were before my time. They were gone. All right. Davis Empire _ Null Blooded. Wake up, Duval. There's like 5 L's, 3 A's, 2 V's, and 7 U's. This is my first post, so I would like to start off by saying that you guys got me through this horrible season and that you, Corey and Aslan, are great. Famous names from Jacksonville, Florida are Leroy Butler, Brian Dawkins, Leon Washington, Edgar Bennett, Atreus Bell, Lavernius Coles, Jalen Ramsey, and DeMarcus Walker. They're home now. Tony Carter, Reggie Northrup, and little boozy manager Lewis Givens, who was a walk-on for FSU during Bobby Bowden's last win, which was in Jacksonville, Florida. Oh, yeah, Corey, this is for you. Chipper Jones, where he attended Bowles, home of the great Corky Rogers.
There you go. He did go to Bowles, and he angered everyone in his hometown, wherever that was, DeLand, I think.
Correct.
Also, the great, probably the best band of your and our lifetime, I believe, Limp Bizkit is from Jacksonville.
Yeah. Take it to the Matthews Bridge. With all that said, what do you guys think the chances we have landing Terrell Buckley? Because we sure can use his football acumen. And if I'm not mistaken, he said that in all caps. No one scored on his DBs in man coverage this season. Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work.
Yeah. Hey, all I'm saying is if
we did our part. We did our part in trying to get Buckley to Tallahassee, guys.
I don't even think Terrell Buckley, the next time he interviews for a job, needs to even go in. He just needs to say, hey, he needs to send them the file of whatever the January 8th Wake Up War Chant and say, listen to this. This is my resume. This is my interview. Tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. 40-40. That's all you need to know. And quit looking over your shoulder when the ball is coming at you. Look up because the ball is going to be on a trajectory coming down. All the little things that a great DB like Terrell Buckley could teach a young player. It's all on that tape. It's all in that interview. Folks, if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. My man knows what he's talking about, And apparently he'll never get a job here because, why would you? You can go get when you have a chance to go get a fired defensive coordinator from the other Mississippi school, you have to go do it with no ties to Florida State. You have to go do that instead of bringing back an all-time legend who's about to go into the College Football Hall of Fame and coaches, on a real good defense.
SPM Jab 1. This is Sean from Indianapolis, home of Larry Bird, Babyface, David Letterman, Steve McQueen, and astronaut David Wolf.
Man, Larry Bird is from French Lick.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, he might live there now if they're talking about who lives there now, but we want birthplaces.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, David Letterman's a good one.
I have long felt that you see so many crazy names in sports due to people with weird names having to grow up tough defending themselves. What is the strangest name that you have heard in sports? I was always a fan of DeBrickashaw Ferguson. FSU related, my favorite was Mr. Alexander. You want me to take this one, Corey? I can just end
Well,
it
I
right
wanted
now.
to say real quick, back when we used to be able to interview the players coming off the practice field, and this was a decade ago, I remember Bob Thomas, who's now in the Seminole Sports Information office. He was the reporter for Jacksonville, actually, speaking of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And I just remember him going, hey, mister, wanting to get an interview with Mr. Alexander. But I didn't know. I think it was like my first week on the job. I didn't know. I mean, I'd heard of him, but I didn't know what Mr. Alexander looked like. And I just thought it was really funny for an older man, to be saying, hey, mister, trying to get an interview. So that always stayed with me. Anytime I hear Mr. Alexander's name, I remember Bob Thomas saying, hey, mister, when he was really saying his name, like,
Bob,
hey, John.
Bob Thomas with a fedora and a press pass slip in his hat brim, with his, sir, mister, we got a question for you,
like
champ.
one of those 1920s radio announcers.
Have you ever seen, there was a guy who went around, he was some radio personality that he would go to press conferences and he would talk like a 1930s.
Yeah, he interviewed Brady, right? Didn't he do a whole Brady like, hey, didn't you see the Charlie Chose? He do all that crazy voice from the 30s.
He made Belichick grin. He's like, champ. He's yelling. He's like, champ, what do you think about the? Yeah, it was great. It's fantastic. The strangest name by far, bar none, hands down. He was a Florida State recruit. You can look it up. His last name was Morgan. First name was Your Highness. Okay? It was Your Highness. It was all one word, Your Highness.
No, I got it beat. And I can't remember. You have to look this up, Aslan, as I say it. I want to say he might have played for FAMU, a basketball player, or Virginia. I don't know why I would conflate those two.
No, it was FAMU. Go. It was FAMU.
Last name is Mapp, M-A-P-P. Mm-hmm. First name is Scientific. Played in the 90s and was pretty good, I think. But he had a brother, and I'm not going to even joke on what his brother's name was.
Say it.
No, I really don't know. I think it might have been
Majestic.
But there it is, Majestic Mapp. That's right. So Scientific Mapp and Majestic Mapp. Where did they play?
Majestic played. I think he hurt his knee. He was at Virginia.
There you go.
Yeah.
What about Scientific?
He played at A&M, Florida A&M, FAMU.
Oh, so I did get it right.
Yeah, you nailed it.
That's funny. All right, well, that makes sense. That's crazy what the mind does. So I still remembered that one of them played at Virginia, one of them played at FAMU.
Yeah. It makes me think
I don't know
if
you can beat Scientific Mapp.
Yeah, Scientific Mapp is strong. Yeah. I had a thought there, but it might get me into trouble, so let's not say it. MX Hudso. Adds that also from Indianapolis, race car driver Dick Trickle.
The great Dick Trickle.
Rookie Baby. Hi, Corey and Aslan. Wake up! Phenomenal job as always. You guys keep up the good work. We shall. Just keep up the good questions, and we shall. I hail from Pensacola, Florida. Notable people from my area include Gloria Estefan, Marco Rubio. No, I'm kidding. He says Derek Brooks, Addison Russell, Alfred Morris, and one of my favorite athletes of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
I like that he didn't mention Emmitt Smith.
Damn right.
Don't need to give the Gator any love.
Yeah. I've seen the question floated around on social media, so I'll ask the experts. 2013 FSU versus 2018 Clemson. Who wins why?
Man, I mean, it's always going to be hard for me to pick against 2013 Florida State.
Yep.
They did have a better kicker, and you can laugh all you want. But a game between those two teams might have really come down to a field goal or special teams, and they had a really good kicker. Florida State did. Man, but it's just hard. It's hard. Florida State had an entire 22 drafted, Christian Jones didn't get drafted, but started as a rookie in the NFL. I don't know that Clemson can compete with that. Quarterbacks are similar. I'll say that. I think that the Lawrence kid is awesome. The receivers are similar. Defensive line, I guess I don't know. With the kid being suspended, man, my voice got really high there, like Bobby Brady. I would maybe give the edge to Florida State with Jernigan and Mario Edwards and Eddie Goldman. But man, overall, that's really close. And I know people don't want to think like that, but this Clemson team, they had 2 close games, but neither one of them were featured Trevor Lawrence. And once he became the starting quarterback and got comfortable, they crushed everyone, including the great Alabama. And that's a huge feather in the cap.
But I think actually, funny enough, didn't Trevor Lawrence come in the A&M game and actually kind of struggle? And Kelly Bryant, I think Kelly Bryant actually
Kelly Bryant was the reason they won.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if they did start the entire season with Trevor Lawrence, there's a good chance that they might have lost that game.
Well, or he might have. It's different when you're the guy. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe you play differently when you're not getting pulled and you got more than 4 series.
Yeah.
So there's that to be said too. But yeah, you never know. That would have been his first road game in front of 110,000. You got that crazy dog and those male cheerleaders and all the co-eds making out after every score because of that weird place in College Station. So you don't know how he handles that. But yes, I think I think it's very even. Clemson they were dominant at the end of the year. And I do think they beat a better team in their championship game than Florida State did. Same token. And I just think they played a tougher schedule a little bit, but that's not Florida State's fault. And Florida State was crazy dominant that whole year. And that Clemson team, I will say this, I think the Clemson team that Florida State beat was probably on par or close to on par with the Alabama team that Clemson beat. I know that's hard to follow. And Florida State beat the bejesus out of them in Death Valley. So that's a huge feather in the cap too. It's just really hard, man. It's just really hard. Devontae Freeman, Etienne, good grief. There's just talent everywhere. So it's hard to say. I would pick Florida State, but I think it's pretty close.
Kanye. Hey, fellas, this is my first post. I joined War Chant back in September and have enjoyed listening to you guys ever since. You make my commute to work very enjoyable with Corey, making me laugh pretty hard at least once every episode.
Oh, that's what I try to do, buddy. I appreciate that.
No pressure, Corey. I hail from a small town called Defuniak Springs. It's kind of hard to pronounce. I know how to pronounce it because it's next to Dothan.
And I was going to say, that's Alabama, right?
Yeah. No, Defuniak's in Florida, but it's near the border, and it's on the same weather map. So I'd hear my weather people always say, the weather right now in Defuniak Springs is 45 degrees.
All right. Okay.
There's no one famous from my town, but the town is famous for Lake Defuniak, which is one of the 2 almost perfectly round, circular, spring-fed lakes in the world. That's according to Wikipedia. And the town was named the best small town in Florida by MSN.com Insider Online this past year.
What a huge moment that
I wonder
must
if
have
that
been.
welcomes you on the signs when you drive in on I-10.
Yeah, like when you drive into Moultrie and you get to see Jimmy Bryant, the fastest guitarist in the world.
Damn, Skippy. My apologies for the long intro. My question is, since this is the off-season for what most of here on War Chant love, and that is football, could we get a little more discussion on what's going on with the other sports? I heard the women's soccer team won a national championship. Who does FSU look to hire after Mike Martin leaves? How long does Coach Ham plan to stay? The podcast starts out by saying this is the ultimate Seminole sports source. Just want to keep you guys to your word. Keep up the good work, fellas. Damn, man. Sorry.
Hey, but it was respectful. It was very nice. It was also informative with the all the information we heard about the lake.
Yeah.
So, it might have been a shot there at us at the end, but it was really well done. I appreciate the tact.
Sure.
And yes, we will definitely be adding more sports. We did talk about the soccer a little bit when it happened. We actually talked about. I think we talked about Mike Martin yesterday.
Yep.
But that'll also be a something we talk about more and more as the season gets closer and then goes on throughout the until June, maybe July. So yeah, we'll try our best. We'll try our best. I try to keep Aslan honest. All he wants to do is talk about football.
Damn right. By the way,
track team. By the way,
yes, track team. I was just about to mention.
It's going to be really good again.
Yeah, they're number one in Flow Track's January 14th top 25 national rankings. They were preseason number 3. Also, a quartet of Knowles, Kashawn James, Armani Wallace, Jayla Kirkland, and Rogui So. They all earned ACC Performer of the Week honors.
What a huge day. Brayman's got it back, baby.
Yeah, man.
He's got it back.
Let us run, and let us run fast. We actually tried to get Coach Krikorian on the program, but it was when they were out in the College Cup, but it just, for whatever reason, our schedules didn't jive up. I think I might have been coming from an out-of-town trip, and we couldn't get him on the show. But we did a pretty cool video about the celebration that was on the YouTube page of warchant.com. So while we might not talk about all of it here, if it's of importance, it'll be on one of our platforms, I assure you that. I don't know who Florida State's looking to hire after Mike Martin. Oh, yeah, I do. It's going to be his son. How long does Coach Ham plan to stay?
Again, that's not guaranteed, but it probably makes the most sense.
Yeah. How long does Coach Ham plan to stay? With the way Corey talked about Coach Ham earlier in the week, I mean, if he gets, that Anthony Edwards kid who's a 5-star, all-everything kind of guy, I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, I think 4 years? I think 4 more years he's got left in the tank. Although, I mean, he's worked so hard to get it at this level, you almost kind of want him to be able to luxuriate and marinate in the success that he's created for himself. But I don't know how much of it he'll be able to. I mean, he's 70 years old, man. He's getting a pretty good chunk of money. Maybe he just wants to live life and relax for a little bit. He's earned it.
He also, he owns his own, record label.
I heard
his own,
that.
His own gospel record label. Yeah. He's crazy into music. He's invited me out there and I've never come, but he's got, because, who's got the time to, who would want to hang out with a Florida State head coach? I really just haven't. I've never taken him up on it, but I will probably this offseason. He's got apparently a library of 100,000 songs, Motown era, and not just the albums, but live recordings, some rare live recordings from a 1962 show in Philadelphia. Yeah. Just a crazy amount of music. He is he's just a huge music fan, especially from that era. And, he's got some other interests. So maybe he wants to, it's not like he'd be struggling for things to do if he did retire. But again, I don't know that now that you got this thing up and running kind of the way you want it, coming off an Elite 8 still have a top 15 team now. You should go to the tournament again and play for the number 1 player in the country. I don't know now that you're really thinking about retirement. I feel like you'd think about retirement when you're tipping it off with Bojanowski. But now that you got this kind of team and this kind of future looking at you, maybe you want to hang on for a few more years. So, I mean, I would be surprised if he went past 5 or 6 years. But, it's Florida State, man. They coach forever around here.
Yeah.
They don't leave.
Knoll fan number 1. Good morning, guys. I have one request for Aslan. When you tell your wedding's trio story on Monday, can you please do it in the Coach O voice? I can't promise you.
I think you should do a whole show in the Coach O voice.
I just told you I'm losing my pipes, man. I can't tap into my gravelly Cajun drawl.
By Monday, you might.
I'll let you guys pick which question you want to answer between these 2 questions. Question number 1. Oh, geez. Do you think the women's beach volleyball team will make it back to the national championship game again this year?
Yes. That question's answered.
Thank you, Corey. Question 2. Who do you think will win national title first? Baseball or basketball?
Baseball.
Yep.
You keep giving yourself enough chances, eventually the wall will crumble, and you will find a way to do it. You just got to keep giving yourself opportunities. And Florida State's in the postseason every year. 1 out of every 3 or 4 years, they're in Omaha. Eventually, your luck is going to turn. You're going to get a hit when you need one. You're going to get a break when a guy hits a line drive right at you. Whatever the case is, eventually the worm is going to turn and you're going to win a championship. And I've always said when Florida State wins that first championship, baby, get ready because it's going to be like 4 in a row.
Yeah. We always say these hypothetical things in the off season and stuff. But then you have to live it, so it's weird. If Florida State wins it all this year, if they go to Omaha and they win the national championship, I won't care about the 5 and 7. I won't let it bother me anymore.
That would be a nice
I'll take it.
Consolation prize.
If you would have asked me last year on August, all right, Willie's first year, will you take 5 and 7 and get destroyed by Florida for Mike Martin to win a national title? I'd be like, nope, sorry, old man, deal with it. Not doing it. Not doing it. But I lived it. It happened. I'm still living. The oceans haven't flooded us yet. So let's do it, man. Let's do it, and let's say that it wasn't done in vain. It was so that the old man could finally get one. He deserves it. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. And I'll be like, you know what? It was worth it. And then after 2 days, no one will remember, and everybody will be complaining about DeAndre Francois starting for Florida State. But I won't. I feel
like it'd be more like 7 days.
7 days. All right.
I think for at least 5 or 6 days, people would relish the championship. Just for him. Not necessarily because they're huge Florida State baseball fans, but just because they, anybody that's listened to this show knows who Mike Martin is and knows kind of the program he has and also how bitter the time out in Omaha has been. By the way, in apropos of nothing, but Stephanie wanted me to let you know that at my funeral, she will make sure it's not on your shoulders.
Okay.
She will make sure that everybody dances and does pelvic thrusts to Another One Bites the Dust.
I can't be there then, Corey. I can't do that.
Yeah, you can. If you knew it's what I wanted.
You don't want that, Corey. Knock it off.
I don't want people crying. When my dad died, I don't know if I told this story, but I gave a eulogy, and at the end I said, hey, my dad was a huge sports fan. Instead of us walking out of here sad, I think he would love it if we gave him an ovation, if we cheered for a life well lived. And then he got it was a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Everyone stood up and cheered and hollered and it was really loud. And then we played a Rolling Stones song as everybody made their way out of the service.
Give Me Shelter?
No, it was Paint It Black. Okay. No, it was actually You Can't Always Get What You Want. That was just his favorite song. There was no real meaning other than that.
Okay. I remember, and we'll turn a page from the dark side of Wake Up War Chant. I remember one of my good friends lost his brother when we were all in high school still, and they had like a gathering at the family house, I think the day after the wake maybe. And I just remember being at the house, and like he was like a heartthrob. So like all the girls there were just sobbing and crying. And then meanwhile, all of the guys were just sitting there and telling stories about like how awesome it was knowing him and hanging out with him and like all the trouble they got in with him. And I remember I was absorbing, and I was like probably like 14 or 15 when it happened. I remember just thinking, I'm like, this is pretty perfect. Like, like if women crying, fawning over you, missing you, and then like your buddies just like being like, damn, he was such an awesome guy. I'm gonna miss him. I felt like that was like the perfect sort of balance of things. But that probably sounds sexist now that I thought that, women objectified him and he enjoyed being a heartthrob. So I apologize. He was just a human being with a good heart and a great family. Think about you all the time, Tim. Captain D _63. Wake up, gentlemen. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, but living in Thomasville, North Carolina, home of the big chair in the middle of town. I love Florida State sports, and it frustrates me seeing this basketball team seeming to always have the same MO, and after playing an awesome game on a Saturday, they lay an egg on Monday. Is this coaching, or is this players not staying focused? I understand the disappointment of losing in the final second to Duke, but going 1 of 19 from the three-point line and missing layups. So is it time for FSU to find another coach to move on to the next step? Thank you for a great show. I also follow Aslan, Corey, and 5-star Ira. Go Noles!
Who asked that question?
Captain D _63. He's a friend of the
Captain
program.
63.
Be nice.
Please get it right and show some respect. They were 2 of 22. They were not 1 of 19.
You're right.
Come on now. They were 1 of 19 at one point.
I think they were actually 1 of 20 at one point.
They were 1 of 20 at one point, and then Savoy hit a huge 3 to cut the lead to 12 with 20 seconds left. And then MJ Walker missed one at the buzzer because that's what MJ Walker does. So they finished 2 of 22, which is dare I say, twice. What's the percentage of 2 of 22? That's what, 9%?
Sure.
So that's almost twice as good as 1 of 19.
It is.
Just saying, show some respect. They hit 2 3-pointers in that game. No, I don't think that's a sign that they need to get a new coach. I do think the way Florida State plays, playing as many guys as they do, and not having surefire NBA talent, when you don't, you don't have like a benefit of a margin of error. You need to play hard and you need to play well, or you can lose to anyone. Now, typically they do play hard and they do play well. That's why they're 13-4 with some really good wins. The LSU win is looking better and better, by the way. So is the Purdue win. Florida can't get right, so that didn't help them much. But so I don't think it's that. But the margin for error when you don't have great players, they got to play well together and they got to hit shots and quit fouling. So, I do think that's a common theme, and it was even the case to a bit of an extent when the year they won the ACC in 12 and went on that run. They won at Duke, they beat North Carolina at home by 100. They beat this team, they won at Virginia, and they somehow lost to Boston College, who had like 3 wins the whole season. Mm-hmm. They'll always find a way to do that. But again, that's kind of what happens when you play at a high level, but with not high-level NBA talent.
But
sometimes it's just going to be a bad night, and you don't have anybody you can depend on, even like a Tony Douglas or a Zion Williamson, to carry you when you have a bad night. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened at Pitt, but they need to right themselves and beat Boston College for sure.
See, but by the same token, though, please only give me a 30-second answer so we can move on. Okay. But when you play win by committee basketball, doesn't that give you like a bigger margin of error? Because like if 3 guys are not on, well then surely maybe guys 7, 8, and 9 will pick up the slack.
Yeah, but again, that's players 7, 8, and 9.
How good
and
is
if you're
player
the 9th
7, 8,
player
9,
on
right.
Florida State's roster, you're not a crazy talented kid. So even if you play well, what does that mean? 9 points?
True.
7 points. Like Cabangeli's great. He has a chance to be a great college player. None of those other guys on that bench are great college players. So it's not quite apples to apples there. You just need your good players to play well. And those other guys like an Anthony Polite or a Vassell, who I think has a chance to be good but isn't there yet, you're not getting a ton from those guys. And you also need Samoy to knock down some threes.
And I don't have a deep enough, vast enough breadth of knowledge of the history of college basketball, but I feel like who's going to push Florida State over this Hamilton hump or whatever that we can't get over, that people say is out there. Again, I think I mentioned on the show on Wednesday, Texas, brought in Shaka Smart, and that was a no-brainer slam dunk hire, right? What he'd done in VCU, put him in Texas.
A ton of money too.
What a great hire. It's going to work out. And it really hasn't. So, I don't know who's out there. There's 300 Division I basketball teams out there. So there's a big pool of fish to go, hunting after or turtling after, depending on what you want to do.
Right.
I just don't know. There's no guarantee that if they get, what's Pitino's son's name? Richard Pitino? If they get a young, hungry kid like that, or if they get one of the less crazy Hurleys to come to Tallahassee, that somehow Florida State's going to start making to the Final Four every 3 or 4 years. They're just, I don't know. I think Hamilton's built it to a good enough point that it'll be an appealing job, and then maybe somebody can keep it rolling, and then maybe that's somebody that can sneak into a Final Four maybe every 8 or 10 years or something, and maybe we'll be happy with that. I don't know. But, yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know who would be out there that's going to – again, it's like when Jimbo left. Who are you going to replace him with? The guys that are really slam dunks are not leaving their slam dunk situations to come to Tallahassee. The people that are going to make Florida State into some sort of basketball juggernaut are not leaving their blue-blooded home run slam dunk hire jobs to come to Tallahassee. So, I don't know, maybe just be resigned to the fact that you're a pretty decent basketball team in a really amazing basketball conference, and we just want to win football national championships. The next question, Sky Ninja FSU, longtime listener and reader of Corey. Just signed up because I love the product. Guy's a pure fan and journalist. And my boy Aslan, an incredibly knowledgeable and grounded journalist with a bit of no love in Corey. All right, rock on, man. I'm from Dracula. I'm from Decula, Georgia. Son is the same age as Corey's and plays travel baseball. Hope we play each other.
Oh, yes, no. We definitely might, because I'm sure they're going to the same tournaments Brady's team is going to.
Yeah. Just moved here, so I don't know any famous people. I'm originally from Tallahassee. Question is this. Why are we seemingly missing on, quote, all these grad transfer quarterbacks, and what do you think Dabo did differently than Jimbo that led to how successful Clemson is? Finally, it's been asked on headlines a lot, but I'd like to say I'd take winning seasons in football for championships in baseball and basketball. Keep it up, guys. Yeah, I think I mentioned that. I'll take. I mean, I took the 5 and 7. Don't make it in vain, Mike Martin. Make it happen, 11. Right. Yeah, I mean, I think a basketball national title would be awesome too. I mean, making it to the Elite 8 was awesome, man. That was a really fun. The tourney is unmatched. It's unrivaled. Nothing beats, for all the talk of a college football playoff, and I know it's because Florida State hasn't been in it, but even the one year they were in it, it didn't feel that awesome to me. Like, it didn't feel as, I don't know, it wasn't as palpable or as intense as, like, the BCS era. Those two teams, if you're one of those two teams, it was all on the line. But this whole, are they going to make it in, are they not going to make it in, or they're going to fly all the way to play Oregon, like, what? Why? We're the only undefeated team. What's going on? Why is this happening? So, yeah, the college football playoff has not lived up to the hype at all, I don't think. So winning a basketball national championship would be amazing, but I'll take one in baseball just because of what and I don't say old man in a derogatory way. I say it in a very endearing way, man. Get the old man one. Let's get it done for him.
And as far as Dabo and Jimbo,
I can't do it
all I
anymore.
can tell you is that Dabo built a culture. And it's not that Jimbo didn't want to. He obviously did, but it didn't take. And Dabo's did.
Yeah.
And they developed players at a higher rate than Jimbo's coaching staff did. Well, I will say this. Dabo has a better coaching staff than Jimbo did, for sure. And he also had just a better he somehow, you can't bottle it, or they would, but he somehow developed a culture that Jimbo couldn't.
Yeah. And then the first question about missing out on all these grad transfer quarterbacks, this is going to show the ugly side of me that you people don't like. I mean, sometimes you just have to kind of look in the mirror. If you're a grad transfer kid, you've got one last shot. I guess Tate Martell to a lesser degree, since he's going to have time down in Miami, that's a stable situation. I mean, Manny Diaz is most likely going to be your head coach, when you start, and he'll probably be sticking around down there, I would think. Willie hasn't created some sort of aura around him when it comes to putting guys at the next level. I know Kendall Briles has gotten guys opportunities at the next level. He's had a Heisman winner. You lost Jalen Hurts to Oklahoma, guys. Lincoln Riley could have probably taken whatever NFL head coaching job was available, but decided to stay at Oklahoma. And the last two quarterbacks there have been Heisman guys. And I know Kyler Murray is a fantastic talent, but I don't know how many people thought he was going to keep the ball rolling there and end up winning another Heisman. So, they've created something there. Maybe Willie will at some point here, but at this point he hasn't. Listen, I love this university. Even when things were going really bad with Bobby, I still would have had a hard time thinking if I had a younger brother that was being recruited, I'd be like, don't go to Florida State. Man, if I had a son, I guess maybe he's a little bit older now. I wouldn't look at it through the prism of a younger brother. If I had a son right now, quarterback, I don't think so. I don't think so, man. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd. If Oklahoma came calling, probably Oklahoma.
Even more than the philosophically of, not even philosophically, that's not the right word, but the fact that they're not winning at a high level and Oklahoma is, man. On that same token, all you got to do is look at the offensive line.
Yeah.
And it could be that simple. It should be that simple. Until Florida State proves it will not get its quarterbacks killed, then why would they get a high-profile transfer quarterback? Or, for that matter, a high-profile high school quarterback? Like, you have to prove that you're going to have an offensive line that's competent, that can keep your quarterbacks upright. Do that, and you can recruit from all over the country. But why in the world would you go to Florida State until they prove that they can, protect a quarterback?
NYC
Right.
Noel. Yeah, no, you're right. NYC Noel. Hey, guys. Aslan, just because I call you Panic Pete does not mean I hate you. Please don't get that twisted. But after a year of listening to you, you are panicky. But it happened. I mean, it happened, guys. Like, I panicked and it happened. But if I like the show and listen every morning during my commute. But I like the show. He said, I like the show. I listen every morning during my commute. Would not listen if I hated you. Also, it made Corey.
Fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, it made Corey chuckle, so well worth it. Lastly,
It did make me chuckle. It just made me chuckle again.
Lastly, by giving you the moniker, it has made you more even-keeled, so much so that on Wednesday's show, you told the South Florida listeners not to panic over the Diaz hire. Now, didn't that feel great? Quick question. What off-the-record story did T-Buck share with you and Corey that you will share with us? Again, great show, guys.
Yeah, well, if it's off the record, we can't share it.
Yeah, that's how it works, guys.
But I don't think we didn't get anything off the record, did we?
No.
At least I didn't.
I
think you talked to him or you texted him before we did the interview. But no, that's the whole thing about off the record is it's off the record. Like we can't then say it a week later. It's still kind of off the record.
Yeah, or at least give us some time to launder it so that
also,
we can pass it through other
another
sources.
thing, just from the journalistic point of view, I'm sure many people that listen to this don't understand that. It's not off the record unless somebody specifies, hey, this is off the record.
Correct.
And you can't do it after the fact either. You can't have a conversation and say, well, I think that guy's an idiot and I think he should be in jail, to a reporter, and then say, by the way, that's off the record. Well, no, we didn't agree to that before you said what you said. Now, normally a journalist will honor that if you say it after the fact. But typically the rule is you say, before you say anything, you say, hey, man, if we talk, it's off the record. And then you go, okay, it's off the record. I won't print anything you say. And then you have the conversation.
Question, Corey.
Anyway,
What if you bumped into Greg Fry at Publix and he's like, hey, man, you're like, hey, coach, how are you?
Are we in the seafood section or the bakery?
Cereal aisle.
Okay. All right. Cereal aisle. So I'm looking at the Cocoa Krispies.
And he's getting steel cut oats because he's a grown-ass man.
Right. Sure.
And he's like, you're like, hey, coach. He's like, hey, you're like, Corey. Yeah, hey, man, nice to meet you. Like, yo, coach, what's going on, man? Like, what's the latest? And he's like, listen, man, check it out. And he tells you he tells you stuff like, listen, man, it's just, I really don't know what they're trying to do right now. I think I'm going to stick around here, man. But I know what they're really trying to do is get things figured out with David Kelly because they really want to bring in Dugans to be the receivers coach. But, man, we'll see. And my wife's calling me, man. I got to go, man. You take care. I'll see you around. Do you say any of that? I mean, it's stuff that you would figure is said like it's like implied. It's you and me, you're a journalist, I'm a football coach, but we're at a grocery store and you don't have a recorder and I don't have a whistle around my neck, so I'm going to tell it to you all. Like, if I was in that situation, I think I would tell you and Ira in our group text, but I don't know if I'd bring it to the masses.
Well, see, the difference is, though, I think a better example would be if I was talking to Meat or one of the Florida State assistants, basketball assistants, because I have more of a relationship with them. I don't have a relationship with Greg Fry. So it would be odd if he assumed and I've had conversations with Meat that were off the record. And he'll say stuff that he understands I won't be repeating. Greg Fry, if he just saw me and we have no relationship, really, and then he just tells me stuff, well, yeah, man, what is he expecting? So yeah, that's what I would think in that instance, only having talked to him twice in my life, that if he's telling me that stuff and he knows what I do, then yeah, I think I have every right to at least go on the message board and say, hey, this is what I heard. I ran into Greg Fry in the cereal aisle. He was getting, what'd you say he was getting?
Steel cut oats. Steel cut oats.
I was getting my Cocoa Krispies, and this is what he said. Yeah. Or I could say, so I I could go around it if it's a gray area and say it was
source
heard from somebody close to Greg Fry, which is Greg Fry. This is what he's hearing.
That was my favorite. I had like such a good rapport with a high school football coach in Mississippi, and it was like a big deal there. That like literally he called me, and he was like out of breath, and I'm like, "What's going on, man?" He's like, I'm leaving the field house right now. I just told the team I'm leaving. I'm taking the job elsewhere." And I'm like, "Oh crap!" He's like, "You're the first person I've told." I'm like, "All right, I appreciate it." So I tweeted it out. I'm like, "Source, so and so is leaving, school X to take a job at school Y." And everyone's like, a couple people text me like, "Dude, like, who'd you hear that from? Is that for sure happening?" I'm like, "It's happening. Like, I promise you." And I'm like, I want to be like, Coach X told me he's leaving to take the job. So sometimes when you say source, it's a little bit of a different thing. Well,
a lot of times it is the source.
Yeah, but like when you're talking about Bruce Feldman, I think I think Feldman's a guy that's got a lot of like coaching contacts. Like Thamel, I think is like an agent guy. I think that he knows the agent, so the agents tell him, and he's like, no one's gonna be like, Randy Clements' agent confirms he's left Houston and is going to Tallahassee. It'll be source Randy Clements going to Tallahassee. Anyway, what did Meat tell you?
Off the record?
Oh, darn it! I was trying to catch you slipping. You're too slick for me.
Sorry, buddy.
You're too sharp. All right, that was the last question. Came from Paul Gleason, a.k.a. NYC Noel. 2 weeks.
That was it, huh?
2 weeks, Bender.
No, it's 2 months.
2 months? 2 months, Bender. Good stuff. All right, Corey, I'm done. You done?
I'm done, buddy. You know I love you.
All right. I feel like we haven't had a Friday show in a while. It's just what should we do moving forward here as we approach the teeth of the winter? Corey, what should we do to keep not only our bodies warm but also our soul?
Oh, I didn't know we were going to do this, and I am exhausted. I hate to say that to you, but I will say this to everyone: it's three letters, but it's something that I think everybody needs to do more often with their friends and their family. Is hug. That's it. I think people like hugs. They're awesome. I love a good hug from anyone. Well, not anyone. Let's slow our roll. But most people, I'll take a warm hug. And hugs are awesome. They're life-affirming. They keep me going. And I like to give them as much as possible, not in a creepy way, in a normal way, in a friendly way. Hug people. Ask them if they mind hugging. Nope. Check that. That sounds awful and creepy. And it's 2019. Just if you have friends that you haven't seen in a while and you're happy to see them, don't be afraid to hug.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.